Konnichiwa, I'm Aoka, and we're gonna go do a deck request duel. The request from Youreyeah was to make a normal monster build, so that's what I'm here for. I did the level 2 vanilla deck before. I do believe that included a Rescue Rabbit, but so for this deck I decided to not use Rescue Rabbit, only normal monsters in the main deck. Now for the extra deck I have Gemnite Pearl as the only rank 4 Exceed monster that doesn't have an effect. And I also put in Daigusto Emerald, which would be the only effect monster in the deck, but I'm like, you can use it with normal monsters sometimes. Don't see it being used too often though, if I'm not running any level 5 plus monsters. But anyway, here's the duel. It's against Jokerphile. I think Jokerphile, not necessarily a new person to the game, but the deck was kind of weird with Cyber Dragons and Cyber Ogre and Cyber Tutu. A lot of things with cyber in their name, now that I think about it. Well, there were some really good traps in there. It was a fun duel, but I made a good amount of mistakes. I believe I even at one point didn't discard for the hand size limit when I should have. Because I want to be clear on which phase I'm in, normally after I draw a card at the start of my turn, I automatically click M1 to go into main phase. And when I have an effect that activates in standby phase, like something with Gold Sarcophagus or something, then I click SP first. Or when I have to skip the draw phase for Reckless Greed, then I'll immediately click SP to clarify that I skipped DP, the draw phase. But at one point, I can use Heart of the Underdog in the draw phase, but at that point I've already clicked M1. I'm like, I can't go back now. Probably Jokerphile wouldn't really notice, care, or would let it go. I don't know, but I'm like, I'm not gonna do that in a real tournament play. I would have just been caught out on it, and like it wouldn't be allowed. So the duel, as for what I'm drawing, is not really good. I should say this deck is still sort of in its testing phase, but not really. There's a couple of cards in the main deck that I was just testing out, and I felt good enough about it that I could make a duel video. I have, once again, the side deck with other options that you could try. The deck isn't perfect yet. It's not a great competitive deck, this build, because I've already made another build with normal months already. Like, recently I did the Elemental Hero normals. Really, I would have loved to have done the level 2 vanilla as my deck request, but I'd already done that a while ago, so new one. This one, as I said, the main deck isn't perfect, but I felt that with the discussion that I can bring in with my points and combos a bit, that I can bring in the deck profile part of this video, that I will be able to give you guys a good view of what works and what doesn't, and then you can try it out for yourself and see what works. So, still not drawing into any normal monsters. I was hoping for at least 2, so I can use Heart of the Underdog and then summon one, and then still have one for Common Charity, except for the very first turn. I never had more than 2 normals in my hand up until this point. So at that point I couldn't use Common Charity yet. Now eventually I will draw into a normal monster, and do I want to use Common Charity? There's a good chance I'll draw into a normal monster. I do believe there's 15 normal monsters in the main deck, 15 out of 40. So that's quite the high chance to draw into it, 37.5% chance, or a chance of 3 in 8 to draw it. And with only having drawn 2 so far, there's 13 left out of 30, so that's well over a 1 in 3 chance to get it. So, I'm not really drawn too well with the normal monsters, so can't really do much about that. And would I draw into it? Do I use Common Charity or not? Because then if in the next 2 draws there's no normal monster, then I sort of will have wasted a chance to inflict damage on the opponent. Now, a card I just drew into, Secrets of the Gallant, I believe it's called. It's one of the cards I've been testing. You target a normal monster you control, and when it inflicts battle damage to the opponent this turn, then the opponent randomly discards 2 cards. So that can be nice, but I didn't use it very much. It's a lot better early game than late game, really. But late game it can definitely take out, let's say, the final 2 cards that he has in his hand right now. Also, earlier in the duel, you may have seen, if you followed the duel more than my narration, I wanted to use Bottomless Strapple on the summon of his Cyber Harpy, then use Tribute to the Doom to take my monster out. He summoned Cyber Harpy, and it was weaker than my monster. I knew something was up. I was ready to respond with Bottomless. Even though it was weaker, I knew something was up, so I wanted to take that Cyber Harpy out. He immediately played a Tribute to the Doom, not giving me any time for response, and normally I would have just said, you didn't give me time, or I would have just activated Bottomless Trample and just gone for it. But I didn't want to go into an annoying discussion like that because I just didn't feel like it today. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll let it go. It's unrated, and even if it had been rated, I may have let it go. Probably for the sake of the video to not drag it out, I'll have let it go. Because otherwise it's going to be 5 minutes of just a stupid discussion, and maybe even longer if we wait for an admin. I didn't want that. I didn't want to start over with the recording, because it was at least somewhat of a decent duel. Not a great duel, but it's an okay one, so I decided to go for it. I totally lost my train of thought. I think I went, like, off track, whatever. What's that expression called? You talk about something, you come up with something else, and then you keep on talking about that, but then you forget what you were originally talking about. You lose your train of thought, you go, what is that called? I'm not really talking about the duel much, am I? Because there's not really much to say, I just have bad draws. He plays fusion gates and confusion into anything, because he only has 2 cards in his hand, which probably confused. Oh, you get sidetracked. I guess that would be an expression of what I was looking for. You talk about something, and then you get sidetracked because you think of something else. So let's say, like, you're talking about Pokemon, and then you come up with dragon types, and you're talking about some dragon types, which reminds you of some kind of cool dragon that you saw in an anime recently, and then you start talking about anime, and like, how do we get from Pokemon to anime again? I know Pokemon is an anime, but that was not how it happened. Like, such things happen. So here I'm like, okay, duel can be almost over. I'll play Common Charity, because I knew I'd have to discard for the hand size limit, so I draw 2 cards. I knew, like, card advantage-wise, I need to get rid of something anyway. Like, card advantage-wise, it's a +0, because Common Charity and a normal monster, and I get 2 cards for it back. Amulet of Ambition is something I get back, but really, it's not really that great in this deck either. It's more for the level 2 deck. It's a lot more useful there, so if you haven't seen that deck yet, Duel yet, link in the description to that video. Go check it out. It's a very fun deck. A lot of level 2 vanillas like Forgotten Souls something. Soul Swelling, no, it's Forgotten something. Dharma Cannon, Miyotoko. No, that's only a side deck card. There's a couple of fun ones in there, and then there's Junk Synchron for a few synchro options. That's, I believe, the only. Yeah, that, and do I have a Rescue Rabbit in that deck? I don't even remember. Anyway, as you can see, I forgot to discard for the hand size limits at the end of last turn. The opponent didn't notice. I totally forgot about it, even though I thought about it like a few seconds before. But yeah, I probably got sidetracked. Thought of something else. Don't Alexandrite Dragon. Okay, I can summon it, but then the risk of like a Torrential, although he already used a Torrential, but I wanted to have a monster in my hand just in case he had something like Mirror Force left, so I'd have something to play. And here, it could just be an attack on the monster and attack direct attack to win, and that's just what happened. So I win, and I'll see you in the deck profile. See you in a bit. Here we are then in the normal monster build deck profile. As I said, it's not the best normal monster deck. I still prefer my level 2 vanilla one. I feel that one's better. But yeah, I was asked to make another one, so here it is. We have 3 copies of Alexandrite Dragon, we have Warwolf, we have Heliotrope, we have Luster Dragon, we have Force Raider. It's pretty much the 2 vanillas with 2000 attack, and then 1 with 1950, and then 2 with 1900. Now technically I could have just played Insect Knight, let's say, above Force Raider, because Insect Knight has 1500 defense. He'll barely ever use the defense, but, you know, might as well. The reason I put Force Raider in over that is because it's a Beast Warrior, and I thought, you know, when I was originally building this deck, I thought, maybe I'll throw in like the Fire Fist XCs, so I have an extra XCs option that I can use. Force Raider, Dream Warwolf can both be used for that, for some of them, Beast Warriors. Same for Bujin, but there's not really great support. Then you need to run like a Fire Formation card to really make it usable. I didn't really feel like doing that. Heliotrope could have used Ophion, but I felt like sort of sticking to the normal monster idea, so Pearl, not a normal monster, but it's a monster without effect, so I guess that counts. The Augusta Emerald didn't use it in Duel, same for Pearl really, but I'd really have it there for the second effect. But that's really only useful if you run like Summon Skull or Wattail Dragon, and I didn't run that in this deck. I guess I could have gone with 1 or 2 copies. I didn't put them in the extra deck, actually. I mean, the side deck for something. But I'm telling you now, you could definitely try Summon Skull, Watchel Dragon, things like that. As for other cards you can use, Faustian Bargain. I believe, yes, I did use this in the level 2 vanilla deck. With it, you send a special summon monster on either side of the field or the graveyard, so that can be yours, also the opponent's. Pretty much will always be your opponent's. So you can just take out an Xyz monster, something that can't be destroyed by card effects. It's sent, not destroyed, so even Wind Up Zen Mines and Draco Sack or tokens on the field will be sent to the graveyard with Faustian Bargain. And in addition to sending it to the graveyard, you also special summon a level 4 lower normal monster from your hand. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages to this card. The advantage is you get a free special summon, so if you have multiple normal monsters in your hand, you can summon an extra one. Disadvantage, you actually need the normal monster in your hand to play this card because it's a mandatory part of the effect. If it would have been optional, you could have just gotten rid of Draco Sack and not summoned something if you didn't have anything in your hand. Let's say your hand would be full of traps and spells, like in the duel you saw just now. I wouldn't have been able to ever play Faustian Bargain because I didn't have any normal monsters to summon. Now there's Dark Hole, just mass destruction. It's a good card. Heart of the Underdog, as I said, I have 15 normal monsters out of the 40 cards in the main deck. And when you draw a card in the draw phase, well, you draw a normal monster in the draw phase, you can reveal it and draw one more card. And since it says the draw phase and not the normal draw in your draw phase, if you draw a normal monster with the effect of Heart of the Underdog, then you can still get a new card. So let's say I draw into Lesser Dragon, use Heart of the Underdog, draw into Heliotrope, then I can use Heart of the Underdog again to draw into something else. And if would that be Alexandrite Dragon, then I can draw again. Or if I draw into Commentary, I obviously can't. It's optional, so you don't have to do it. And there's a important ruling, I guess, if you play multiple Heart of the Underdogs. Let's say I have 2 of them on the field, and I draw into Lesser Dragon. And then both of them activates Chain, SCGOC, the exact same card, so the order, like which is Chain Link 1, which is Chain Link 2, doesn't matter at all, unless you're facing the few cards that work with the columns, but then really one of them would need to be destroyed or something. It's kind of weird. It pretty much will never happen. It's really rare when that would happen. But anyway, if you then draw to Lesser Dragon, you can both are activated. SCGOC will put them on a chain, Chain Link 1 and 2. You'll draw 2 cards, one for this one, one for that one. But then, let's say you draw a normal monster only with the first effect that resolves, so the one in Chain Link 2. With it, you draw Evil Swarm Heliotrope. But with the one on Chain Link 1, which is the last one that resolves, because Chain resolved backward, you get Mirror Force. You will not be able to play Heart of the Underdog again, like to have them activate again, due to the drawing of Heliotrope. Now, why is that? Because it misses timing. It is a when you can effect, an optional when effect. So, drawing the normal monster needs to be the last thing that happens for that card to be able to be activated. You drew the normal monster during Chain Link 2. After that, the other Heart of the Underdog resolved and drew into something that is not a normal monster. So, the last thing that happened was drawing into, well, something that is not a normal monster, in this case Mirror Force. So, you cannot use the effect. Now, if the second card would have been Force Raider or any normal monster, then you can use it. They once again will both form a chain and keep on going. Enough about that. I also have Seal of Youreyeah Calcos. Don't plan to summon much from the extra deck. Nice boost for everyone, 500 attack. Smash and Ground for extra destruction. I like that because it's a slow deck and Smash and Ground can help you destroy some stuff. Common Charity, the Allure of Darkness for normal monster. Would have preferred if it's a spell, but in a sense, I guess being a trap card has its advantages. Secrets of the Gallant, already explained that at Duel. Not really great, but if you want to try it, go ahead. Bottomless Trample because it's good. Skill Drain because I don't run any effects besides Emerald, although I really wouldn't have used Emerald at all because that would break the normal monster clause that I sort of put up for myself. So you can just stop the opponent's card effects. Drains Tribute to destroy stuff, compels to send stuff back. Mirror Force originally had to, but normally you'd only have these normal monsters on the field, and you'd have them in attack mode, so in that sense just the break is better, because it also destroys opponents' defense position monsters. But you have to be careful, if you have any defense position monsters with a face up or face down, just the break will also destroy those. Now, Amulet of Ambition is there. You can only equip it to a normal monster, and if it battles with a monster that is a higher level than the difference in levels between you and the opponent, you'll gain that amount, the difference in levels times 500 in attack, and that boost will stay during the battle only. And when Amulet of Ambition is sent to the grave, you can return to the top of the deck instead. Now, it isn't often that you really fight against a monster that is a higher level if you're level 4. You'll fight quite a few level 4s and maybe level 3s, but most level 4s, so Amulet of Ambition on level 2s is a lot more common. And on these level 4s it doesn't really work well, so you probably don't want to run that. Extra deck, as I said, Emerald for the second effect, so you can special summon something, but really you'd have the weakest attack-wise is Force Raid and Lesser Dragon. You overlay two 1900s to make one 1800, and then okay, you may get a 2000 for it back. Let's say you have Alexandrite Dragon in the grave, so eventually you'll still have 3800 attack. But Daigusto Emerald is not a normal monster, so you can't use Justy Break with it, you can't use Secret of the Gallant with it, you can't use Amulet of Ambition with it, so you'll barely ever go for it. Tyrant's Throws, it has a big cost. It can totally stop the opponent from normal or special summoning effect monsters, and Meta is full of effect monsters, so this can definitely be a good card, but the cost is very big. You need to tribute two normal monsters, and I don't have a quick way of getting them on the field. I don't have spammers, and with MSDs all over the place, not worth running. Dimensional Prison, I guess you could run that. Non-spellcasting area, all face-up monsters except for effect monster are unaffected by other spell cards, but spells that affect monsters, besides really Smashing Ground, maybe, and Dark Hole, there aren't that many others that affect monsters. Like, I guess the Fire Formation spells for the boost. Not a lot of them affect monsters. Or I'm forgetting things like lands and stuff and a lot of others, but I'll find out if you post it in the comments. Creature Seizure, it's sort of a creature swap really, but you have to choose a normal monster. Like, I have to choose a normal monster, I'm pretty sure, but then what's really the difference with creature swap? I'm not sure. The creature swap just has an extra effect that they can't change battle positions for the rest of the turn. Order to Charge, it's sort of a bad Gemini Spark, which I didn't plan on using. Dark Factory of Mass Production, you can get the normal monsters back from the grave if you want to play it. Duality to try and find the card you need. Pot of Dichotomy, or however you want to pronounce it, I've never bothered actually looking at it. I just know you need 3 monsters with different monster types in the deck. In that, if you decide to run that, then don't run both Warwolf and Force Raider. Definitely run Insect Knights to make for a different type. Then you have Dragon, Beast Warrior, Rock, another Dragon. So then you probably want to run Gemini Elf. Gemini Elf and Insect Knight over these two, or something else with 1900 attack. That's a little for vanilla. Rescue Rabbit, you could definitely use it. It could definitely be a good card. If I decided to run Rescue Rabbit, I would have also run Ophion and stuff in the extra deck, but I decided to just keep the extra deck, the main deck clean with just normal monsters. Microcosmos, Dimensional Fissure, I guess if you want to banish some stuff, but really, it's kind of iffy for this deck. Like, not necessarily bad, but it won't be great anyway. Like, you'd probably be better off just playing Imperial Iron Wall, just in case you're playing Dragon Rulers. Forbidden Lands to save yourself from like spell and trap effects that want to destroy you, because as I said, it's slow, except for Faustian Bargain. No way to special summon things, so it'll mostly be just one normal summon per turn, and that's it. So you want to keep your monsters. Forbidden Lands is there to give you that chance, and then I guess you can run a third Skull Drain if you want. There's quite a few other options that you can try out. If you have any suggestions on how to improve the deck, let me know in the comments. But for now, this has been the deck request from Youreyeah. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry if this was not the normal monster deck you were looking for, but I already did the vanilla heroes recently. I already have the level 2 vanilla deck, and there's quite a few vanilla strategies I guess that you could use, but I couldn't really come up with something good, so I just felt like just taking the strong beaters of level 4 and making something with that. So that's this deck. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. That might just be the new deck request. Iggy1000 came to me with a request to make a Mermail deck. I'm allowed to use some Atlanteans, so Merlantians. Yeah, usually you'd use Atlanteans with Mermail. And I have to include the Mermail boss. Now, there's no real Mermail boss, like what you consider Mermail boss. I believe Megalo's meant by that, so usually you'd run Megalo in Mermails anyway, so. That's going to be the next request. I used Mermails once before. That was in the tournament winner too. Zia Putra won the second tournament with Mermails. But for the rest, I haven't actually done a duel video with Mermails, so that's for the next deck request. Pretty sure I just have to do a few minor edits to my Mermail deck, and then that'll be ready. Yeah. So you're gonna see that probably pretty soon, hopefully. Also, and a couple of days ago, I uploaded a duel video talking about how I've been having issues with my headset and things just aren't working. I haven't fixed it. You can hear me now, so you think, is it fixed? Nope, it's not fixed. It's just that I found a temporary fix. I don't expect this to take long. I expect after 2 weeks that this not work anymore either. I'm not going to go into details about that. Probably will bore you out. But if there's another sudden gap of 1-2 weeks without any real duel videos with narration like this, then you know why. I can still, once again, as I said in the duel video, which you should have watched, I can still do certain stuff with my normal camera, but sometimes I really feel it's better with Camtasia. But that's enough talk. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Bye.